Hey guys, it's Johnny Lamb, the Believing Billionaire, coming to you today on a Saturday. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Shabbat Shalom. Well, as I promised, I told you moving forward from now on in my last video that you would always see this book, Building the Empire State by Carol Willis. You can see it right there. All right, so I've kept my promise to you, and I will continue to do so. Matter of fact, I just made this video that I'm making now, whatever, I don't know, probably 15 minutes ago, and I was like doing different takes and so forth. So this makes like the third take, and then the Holy Spirit reminded me, he's like, hey, you need your book. And I was like, yeah, that's right. But at any rate, as I've put inside the title here of this particular video, there is a specific question that has to be answered as we move forward with the Empire State Building hotel idea and making the Empire State Building the most beautiful hotel in the world for the kingdom. Now, before we get into that, I'm going to tell you a little bit of history of the Empire State Building that you may or may not know. When the building first opened back in the 30s, John Jacob Raskup and also Al Smith as a team, right after the building opened, they started sweating bullets. Now, why did they start sweating bullets? Well, the building itself was absolutely, in my opinion, miraculous as it came together. They actually did a story a day for the skyscraper itself. I mean, imagine that, a story a day. And this is before computers, internet, any of that type of stuff. And they had to coordinate all these different people, the steel companies, the construction companies, the engineering, all this type of stuff without computers or internet. I can't imagine, Absolutely. Now, in my opinion, it was God just showering down his favor and his blessing, making sure that that building was built for such a time as this, specifically for its future, which is to become the most beautiful hotel in the world. So that was back then, of why it began and so forth, etc. And that's the future, that being a hotel. All right, so they had it all come together, and it was going great. And then all of a sudden, after they open it, like a few weeks later, something like that, you'll have to research it, but this is a bona fide fact, so go into Google, whatever you need to do to research it. But you will find that John Jacob Raskup and Al Smith started sweating bullets because they started encountering something in real estate that nobody wants, and specifically in commercial real estate: vacancy. That's what started happening. And when that happened, they were like, how can this be? Well, a lot of the tenants that they were supposed to have there and so forth started dropping off and all this stuff. It was just a big, big fiasco, basically, and a major challenge. Well, to offset the vacancy issue, they came up with a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant idea, and that was to open the building itself to public observation and give the view, on the top, so that you could come to the top of the Empire State Building and be able to have a beautiful view of New York, and so forth. Also in history, they had planned on, believe it or not, the top of the Empire State Building, the reason for that big, huge steeple part, if you will, on the top, was to be a mooring dock for dirigibles or blimps, and I've told you in my videos and so forth about blimps and prophetic and how that relates to what I've been called to do with the Empire State Building Hotel, and so forth. So anyway, at any rate, that was one of the aspects they did. Well, guess what? That was a flop. They couldn't get them in there, and it was just a big, big pain. So what they did is they created the observation deck and the whole aspect of being able to observe from the Empire State Building and charging people, and so forth, to be able to bring more revenue into the building. Now, here's something that is interesting. When you go into the history of the Empire State Building, you will see that over the years with the different owners and so forth and the different aspects of tenants and vacancy and all that type of stuff, they have had challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge after challenge over the years and be able to make money with the building. Now that's a bona fide fact. You can research it and so forth. They've had challenges with it basically being filled up, with tenants. Okay, now one of those aspects of the reason for that challenge is because if you look on a practical level, there's no parking for the buildings, so tenants could come with cars and whatever and all that stuff and etc. and be able to park and be able to go, inside the building. So basically the only way you can access the building is you can access it through walking, or you can access, get there through the subway, or something like that. Or maybe teleportation or something. No, I'm just kidding. But at any rate, that is the case. You can't get there unless you walk or you have subway. And there's no heliport or anything like that on the building, so you don't have that aspect as well. So that has caused challenges, I believe, in regards to be able to keep, the tenant, the whole aspect of it being full rather than vacant, the building itself with tenants. So, that is one of the challenges that me, as well as my team and so forth, are going to address as we bring forth the Empire State Building Hotel idea. Now, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag because that's a certain thing that I have going on inside of my mind and so forth, but it's a very, very creative idea to be able to make that happen and to make it more attractive, within that area, as far as people getting there and having access and being able to go, in the hotel. So that's that. Now, here is the very interesting question. Could it be that history itself is repeating itself? And what I mean by that, just like John Jacob Raskup and Al Smith, they created the observation deck and the observation aspect to people, to the general populace, to be able to have a beautiful view of New York City. Well, guess what? That same type of aspect, that idea, is happening right now with the current owners of the building, the Mawkins. And what they've done is they've poured lots of money specifically into the building, specifically related to observation and giving people views and so forth. And they've also been able to pour lots of money in regards to the number of floors there, and they've made it more like a museum, kind of like a tourist attraction, kind of like a, getting more attention to the building and so forth with the general populace, okay? But here is the question that has to be answered. Why are they doing that? Now, from a business perspective as well as a monetary perspective, why are they doing that? Here is my conjecture. And I believe that it specifically comes from the Lord. And this is something I believe the Lord has shown me. You are going to start seeing the value of the Empire State Building, which right now is valued at $1.5 billion, supposedly. You're going to start seeing that value start to come down and 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 down like nobody's business. Because here's my conjecture as far as why they're doing that. They are doing it because I believe they're having challenges with vacancy. Vacancy, just like Al Smith and John Jacob Raskup had a challenge with it, they're having a challenge with it. And so therefore, they're trying to figure out, scratching their heads like, what are we supposed to do? What are we supposed to do? We're having some challenges being able to keep tenants in here and so forth. And we have the observation deck and, and so forth. And we have the observation museum, if you will, and so forth. And all these different attractions they've done, and all this type of stuff. But is that enough monetarily to be able to continue to keep the Empire State Building afloat and make sense of it financially? I present to you today, I believe it is not. I believe that they're having vacancy challenges. And as I said, we're going to start seeing the value of the Empire State Building just topple, continually topple. Now, a number of things in that regard, as far as, the tenant vacancy, also economy taking place here, not too far down the road, and all this type of stuff. Now, when that starts happening, and it's going to start happening more and more and more as we see it take place, I'm going to step in as the believing billionaire for the living God of Israel, and I'm going to say, hey, Malkins, you've got two choices here. You can partner with me in regards to the Empire State Building Hotel, or you can sell me the building outright for the Empire State Building Hotel. And I'm going to buy the building for, you guessed it, $40 million. Absolutely. And we're going to renovate. Remember the book. We're going to take this book here and what's in this book, and we're going to renovate the Empire State Building Hotel and modify it, the Empire State Building, and modify it into a hotel and renovate it into a hotel. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to be very wise with his money, and that's the reason why that we're going to do it for $40 million, and so we can have other monies to be able to focus on, the Empire State Building Hotel and be able to do that aspect as well. As far as money, developing it and so forth. Now, I myself have had the blessing, from the Lord of owning, this makes our fourth property, and excuse the the renovation that we're going through as well. I've told you before that we had, mold remediation, and we've done that. Now we're doing some remodeling here to be able to make things more beautiful. But I myself have had the blessing of owning 4 different properties in 3 different states. And so I know a little bit about real estate, but that's just, just commercial, that's just residential real estate. So not commercial yet, but it's coming down the road here very soon. So to recap, that's what I believe is happening with the Malkins, is that they're encountering challenges in regards to vacancy. And that's the reason that they're pouring so much money into the whole thing related to the observation as well as the museum and so forth, because they're trying to figure out, and they're starting to sweat bullets. That's what I truly believe in regards to how can we keep an ROI and make an ROI and so forth happen with this building. And guys, through the Lord Jesus Christ, I have the solution. I have the solution. He has the solution, and now it's time to start bringing the solution forward. All right, guys. Hey, I appreciate your time. God bless you. G_D bless you. Shabbat Shalom. And you guessed it, I will see you at the top of the Empire State Building Hotel for such a time as this. All right. Have a great, wonderful weekend, and we'll talk to you soon. All right. Bye now.